Do you have a product or service or have a special event that you would like to announce to thousands in the DeKalb area? Well, reach out to us for our low introductory rate at www.eytvshow.com for our low introductory rate.
Hello, and I'm Miss Daisy Jones, and welcome to this week's edition of Express Yourself. Now, Express Yourself, the purpose is to bring positive conversation in the wake of the negative information you may see or hear through the media. Now, here at Express Yourself, we have a whole nother spin on what's going on. And my guests today have so graciously accepted the invitation to come share through their views, opinions, and also their experiences and expertise in the subject matter that we're going to talk about today. Now, this does not reflect the views or opinions of Comcast or any of its affiliates. Now, get ready. Now, those of you that are used to us, you know what to do, pen and paper in hand. And today, there's another extra instruction. Move back the tables and chairs. You know, that's that old Luther Vandross deal, because it's all about the music in me. And today's subject is the spirit of song. And you're going to see what we mean in a minute. So what we're going to do, give you a chance to move that table and chair, get your pen and paper. We'll be right back. And we're going to get into the 411, all about the spirit of song. We'll be right back.
Do you have a product or service or have a special event that you would like to announce to thousands in the DeKalb area? Well, reach out to us for our low introductory rate at www.eytvshow.com for our low introductory rate.
We're back. You ready? Now, let's get into the real deal of why we're here, because there's a doctor in the house. And she is really a doctor of music theory, but more so, she's an absolute awesome flutist. And her name is Tamika Steers. And Tamika, take it away. Give us what you got. And we're going to talk about the spirit of music in just the point of her playing a flute. We're so used to words, 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 but the spirit of song, it comes from within. Now, we have a doctor in the house, and I'm going to get to my panelists because that's why they're here, and they're going to talk to you about the spirit of song. Now, first of all, I have a historian here. Now, this gentleman has been in the music industry for, can I say that? Yes, you can. Over 35 or 40 years. He was back in the day when music was really music. But we're going to talk about that. And this is Dr. Marlon McNichols, and he is the CEO of Angel Dove Entertainment. And also, next to him, we have another awesome musician, because it's all about the music. And now I want to say he's a veteran when it comes to an absolute guitar, because this is North, and you think Kenya and Kimmy had a first child named North? Listen, let me tell you this. This is North Woodall, better known as Tunes, and you'll know why he's called that in a minute. And we're going to move over to my right. Now, for those of you that are over, I'm sure you will be probably more than likely recognize my next guest, who is he's a former member, an original member at that, of the Gap Band, and this is Mikhail Yeshua, better known as, get this, remember his name? Yogi, the entertainer. And next to him, we also have the awesome doctor in the house once again. See, I got doctors on my left, I got doctors on my right, and she is a doctor of music theory. And we needed a doctor in the house for that, as well as a doctor of historian. And it's Miss Tamika Steers. Thank you so much, Tamika, for coming and sharing with us. Now, you're going to share a little later in the show, but let's get down to the brass tacks. I'm going to go to the doctor historian. Dr. McNichols, tell us a little bit about your history and where you coming from in the music industry and how you came up with Angel Dove Entertainment.
Okay, wonderful. I've been in the industry basically over 40 years. I started out in booking and management, and I moved on from there and I went to Motown, and I worked with some of the greats at Motown, Holland Dozier and Holland, Norman Whitfield, Barrett Strong, and all the other awesome producers plus artists. That was at Motown in the early days, and we were back at Motown like when it was into its first real kickoff phase. After the first movement of success about in 1962. Then after 1962, that's when it really got hot. And so I've been in every phase of the production, all the way from Motown, from the 2-track. All the way from the 2-track. Now we're doing 84, 100 some tracks.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you said that 2-track. But see, back in the day, you had 2 tracks because you had 2 live music. Nowadays, you got 80 tracks because it's all fake. And digitally enhanced, electronically made, right, and keeping up with the times, as they say, right? But also, other than you being in the industry and working with Dozier and Holland and all those fellas, you got something else out of the package, because I think your wife in the industry, isn't she a Dozier of some sort?
Oh, yes.
So you really got something out of it.
Right, absolutely.
Dozier.
Yeah, right, absolutely, I sure did. My wife is a cousin of the Doziers, and also a very talented writer, producer, and artist in her own right. And we've been in the industry jointly. She basically now handles all the production of what we do. I kind of pull back from that side of it. I do a lot of the administrative. I negotiate agreements for artists all over the world, and I manage some of the biggest DJs in the world, particularly one called DJ Judge Jules. And that's another side of the industry because the DJ side of the industry is huge in Europe. These guys, they go to a concert, they just take the records and they spin. The live side of the music is down over there, but it's coming back, but it's dominated by the DJs. And Judge Jules is one of the foremost DJs and all of that side of the music.
Well, you know, when you talk about that, we're going to get into that a little bit more because DJs back in the day were the catalyst for the music because the DJs were the ones that had to play this music, and back then they had a choice as a DJ when they listened to things what the community wanted to hear and that sort of thing. We're going to talk about that a little bit more.
Okay.
And when you talk about promotions, that's another part of it,
Yes.
the industry, being a promoter. But now, I'm going to talk to you, Yogi, because you also been in the industry as being a part of a band that was being promoted.
Yes.
Talk to us about where you come from and how did you end up in Atlanta, Georgia?
Well, that's a long story. Well, let me start as simple as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point, just, the quick tips.
1975, I was given the opportunity to work with a recording artist called Janice, and I started with her in Disney. We moved on to working in Vegas. Of course, my mom had to give me the writer to do that. After going on several tours with her, I joined the Gap Band in '78. I was rehearsing with a group with Teddy Pendergrass, and he so happened to get rid of the band. And so they called me back and told me somebody called the Gap Band was looking for a drummer. And I'm like, who in the heck is a Gap Band? Because at that time they weren't out, nobody knew who they were. Charlie and them were new to Los Angeles. And at the Total Experience, our friend Lonnie Simmons, who ended up owning Total Experience Records, I'm pretty sure you know, he was our boss. And he came and told us at a rehearsal before anything happened, he said, if you guys just listen to me, and let me do your promotions, and if you trust me, you guys are going to be bigger than Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I remember Charlie and all of us, we just started laughing because at the time, '78, '79, Earth, Wind, and Fire was and the Commodores was the big top-selling R&B group of that time. And so we had no clue that he understood his game. So what he wanted us to do was focus on creating music and getting our act together while he was busy doing the shuffling and taking care of. Next thing you know, we were on Soul Train, American Bandstand, and things just took off like that. And later on, we found out that the difference between us and other black groups at the time is that we had a promoter, a guy that took his business serious. He did his homework, he did his research, and promoting, publishing, all of this had to do with a combination of things that make an artist or make a band, which now the difference is that a lot of artists, such as some of our panel guests today, are learning how to do the business themselves and learn how to take care of their own brand or their own marketing ability, because the music industry has just now taken off into another sphere, with movies and commercials and endorsements.
Right. Yogi, now you read my notes because that was actually part of the notes.
I am psychic.
No, it's what it is, and that's one of the important issues that, as far as Dr. Marlon knows, being in the industry for that and seeing the difference, because we want to talk about the difference between the marketing piece then and now, and why a lot of the industry individuals are taking on their own responsibilities because of when back in the day, really, you had really people that were for you.
Yes.
They were really wanting to help the individual because Dr. McNichols, I'm sure you can attest to this, and also U-Tunes in back in the day, and for me to know, being in the industry, they, like you said, Yogi, they wanted you to get yourself together before you went out and performed.
Absolutely.
Where nowadays, that's not even important.
Yeah.
You just got to have the look.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that, Tune? Being, because I mean, the reason you, first of all, how do you end up in Georgia and where are you coming from? But the one thing is what made you decide to be an independent?
Playing behind so many bands. I'm coming out of Dayton, Ohio, and I grew up with Lakeside and Heatwave and Slave. I used to ride around with the Ohio Players, and I still know a lot of them guys. I've done some shows with Roger Zapp. And then, and playing in bands back then, and actually the lead singer of Lakeside, he was my first drummer in '66, okay, to this day. So you playing in bands in Dayton, and you playing. I almost played with them, but I went to a different high school. So what happens is you playing in bands and you got all these singers, like, you know, it's the era, all the singers, they just want to, you know, everybody wants to sing, you playing behind them. So you end up seeing them not take care of the business. So many years of that, I got tired of that, so I'm not going to be in the back no more. I'm going to be up front. So that's what that comes to. So now, yeah, I'm going to be up front, don't worry about it, because the singers is not showing up and all that.
Right,
man.
right.
So and then it moved to more just being instrumental, solo artist, and that's why it's fitting for me to be right now today on this show about the spirit of the music. When I was feeling all that when this young lady was playing her song, I could feel it, and that's what I'm doing. I take R&B songs and play them instrumental because it's with spirituality.
Right, and actually, music really starts with a tune before it even comes out of your mouth.
Yes, definitely.
Tamika, being a doctor of music theory, talk to us, first of all, where you come from, how you end up here in Georgia, or are you a Georgia peach? And talk to us about a little bit of music theory.
Well, I'm originally from Georgia, and I am a peach. So from my studies of music theory, it included, because the industry is changing even with scholarship in music theory, it includes musicology and a lot of research on the things that are happening in contemporary society. And the things that you all said is very interesting as far as the landscape changing, because I think that it's on the horizon what's happening in Europe, because I just remember looking at Arsenio Hall the other evening, in which he had a group called Afro Jacks. And you're expecting to see a live band, but instead you see one young man on the stage. He's behind the DJ booth, and he has some lighting and some effects. And but it was still a interesting and satisfying experience. And I even saw something on another show lately. I think I hope I don't slaughter the name of the group. I think it's ESSO, ESSO. I believe that was on one of the late night shows, like Jimmy Kimmel or one of them, in which part of the experience, you had one singer, but then you had a DJ there, and he was actually performing and moving around, even though he didn't sing a note. And so it was very interesting. And what that brought to my mind, just in a nutshell, is I remember they have a conference every year, the College Music Society, in which we talked about things like that. And then I remember a paper that was presented at Rhodes College at one of those conventions. And the keynote speaker was saying that basically technology is what's happening. It's changing the way people promote themselves, the way they're performing. It's the new musicianship.
Right, now hold that thought, because I'm so glad you said that, because this is why the show is here today, because we want to take a break and come back, and we're going to get more in understanding the difference between technology music and the music in me.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Do you have a product or service, or have a special event that you would like to announce to thousands in the DeKalb area? Well, reach out to us for our low introductory rate at www.eytvshow.com for our low introductory rate.
We're back. Boy, we had some good stuff going on. We're going to try to give you a little ear view of what we were talking about, because we can't say it all. That's why they're going to come back, right, everybody? Right. Look at the camera and say, yeah, I'll be back. Okay, let's pick it back up. Tamika, you were saying something, when you talk about music theory, when you were talking about the DJs, that's performing with the other people. Now, I'm going to go back to the historian here. Talk to us, Dr. McNichols, when it comes to DJs. Now, what she's talking about is the modern day DJ?
Yeah, she's talking about the modern day DJs because, back, it's the radio DJs that play the music every day in the studio. Then it's what they call now, it's the celebrity DJs.
MC.
And you got DJs like Boy George, Judge Jules, Fat Boy Slim. Now these DJs, they play around the world, and they play at parties, and they just bring their records. And these DJs, like for instance, Judge Jules, his net worth is $46 million. No band, just him, and he shows up. But that's more so on the European side, but they're also bringing that to Vegas. In Vegas now, the clubs are taking down the stages and putting
VJs.
in, yeah, right,
They're called VJs.
and putting in DJs But then that's a twofold situation. First is economics, and then it's given that trend of dance music.
Yes.
And support, which is supported, and that side is controlled by the celebrity DJs, you know. And these guys, they do parties all around the world for chic. I mean, they'll go into Dubai and do a party one night and get $50,000.
Right,
Exactly.
You know, and so see, one thing that I like to bring in the beginning, radio was not created for music. Radio was, when it first went, it was for the community. Music came on later on and was a complement to radio. You see what I mean? So in that case, you know, what happened is that as music started taking a bigger foothold in the radio, the advertisement and the community was driven to music, to the music side, and the radio station that played the hits was the one that was the number one in the market. And you see in today's time that I'm kind of fading away from the DJ side, but is the radio DJ side. And we're talking about radio maybe now. I might be jumping a little ahead. If you want me to back up, I will.
No,
But
go ahead.
Okay.
Talk to us.
Okay, what's happening is that in our industry, and particularly radio, isn't got so corporate. Back in the day, when artists, a promotion man, when they brought a record to the radio station, the DJ was so engaged and he loved the music. He loved what he hears, and he was trying to break a hit. He wanted to be the one to break that record. Now in our industry, and this what makes it hard for independents. This is tremendously hard for independents that record music and want to get on the air because it's so corporate these days. The days that to get your record on the radio, say Clear Channel or Radio 1, you got to go through a system where they call BDS spins or media-based spins. And if you don't get that a certain amount of BDS spins or media-based spins, your record can't go on no matter how good it is. It can't go on the Clear Channels. It can't go on the Radio 1s. You know. So the business of corporate has changed our business tremendously, and the business of corporate has made it even harder for the independent that might record a great record, a great song, and he hasn't got a place to where a DJ is so controlled. Radio DJ now, he's so controlled now that they can't play what they want to play. Then on the other side of the radio DJ side is that DJs from the radio side and the club side, their influence was back in the 70s and the 80s was so tremendous that the record labels hired those guys to do the mixing of the records because they're in the clubs every night.
Yes.
They knew the consumer. They knew the feel. See, when we're dealing in our industry, it's a lot of psychological things that go on and theory, because our industry now is research. You know, and so, you know, with that in mind, the record labels said, okay, we're going to hire these DJs to mix our records because they know what's happening they're in the clubs. They know the feel, they know the pulse, they know the energy, and they know the spirit of that consumer that's in that club that night.
But you know what, Yogi, you were saying something on break about what Tamika was saying about that. Talk to us from your point of view.
Yeah, and thanks, Tamika, for coming on the show, because that's the part that's left out in. I'm an advocate for artists like myself and producers and people like that, because they have lost the art, and the art is what's important. See, most musicians and people don't know that music is a science. That's why the title of your show, The Spirit of Sound. You can't have the spirit without the physical. The physical is a door to the spiritual. So the pattern of the music, the mathematics, the number one sciences was mathematics, astronomy, and music. And they all have the similar pattern, which means, like, you know, everything has sound. So when artists lose their creativity and what it takes, when you look at your music more intellectually, you'll see you're not just a musician, you're a scientist. You deal with sound that goes from this universe into another universe.
And come back into the spirit of the individual.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter what you do, your feelings will generate the sound of music. You understood what it meant to feel good and have fun.